Mondays, that means Todd McShay, who also has his new podcast out from The Ringer on Spotify, available everywhere. The McShay Show out Saturday nights. I did a recap with he and Steve Mensch, which was a blast after A&M's nice win against LSU. It'll be out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so a lot going on for our guy, Todd. What's up, dude?
I think that Saturday night show is going to quickly become the favorite thing I do in work all week, every week. I mean, to get you on, kind of texting a little like, when are we starting this thing? To get you on, like, from your living room or wherever you were in that palace on Manhattan Beach, without sleeves, kind of, a little like, it's like kind of like talking to a scout who's been on the road for 2 months, a little bit ornery. But I don't know. It felt like the old days of like sitting at a bar, just talking ball, and it didn't feel like we were on air. And that's kind of the whole goal. So anyway, I had a lot of fun.
Mission accomplished, because I thought once we got warmed up, when we got done, I was like, that was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on. Okay, so off of that, because we did a lot on LSU A&M, you can go into that and they talk some quarterbacks, which I really enjoyed doing, hanging with two guys that do this for a living. But I wanted to look at, as I did my top 12 this morning, and I was looking at it last night, and I just started thinking, like, some of these teams are going to have these really weird resumes. And this is the expansion of 4 to 12, something I was arguing about the entire time. Like, all right, cool. Like, the games will be good, extra money, the whole deal. But, like, there's going to be some weird resumes in there. So let's go through a few things, a few exercises here of the projected, or in the neighborhood. So you don't have to be 12th in the AP and eliminate everybody else. But I think most of the answers are going to be amongst that group of teams. Who has the best win?
I would say Oregon, for a couple of reasons. Oregon over Ohio State. Sorry, for a couple of reasons. I think we all watched. Let's start back preseason, right? You included. A lot of people were like, "Hey, like, watch out for Oregon. They may win the whole thing, or they may, very likely could be in that top 4. Not that it matters as much, but they could be one of the top seeds in this." And then they came out the first 3 games, I think it was, and you and I were texting and talking, and the offensive line didn't play great. They weren't dominating inferior opponents. And I started to wonder, all right, great. Like, Phil Knight, open up the pocketbook, go out and grab any player you want. But is this a team? Are they physical enough? Are they the type of team that can compete against an Ohio State or one of the top dogs in the nation? And to that point, like at that point of the season going into Ohio State, I was not convinced. And I know you were kind of a little bit worried about your preseason pick of Oregon winning it all. And then they came out and they played as a team. They played with physicality. They were the better team in the trenches on both sides of the ball in that game, in my opinion. And they were able to hold off Ohio State at the end there and got a huge win. So just based on, like, I guess for my opinion, it all changed with that game. And since then, my goodness, like Illinois this past week, that's a good Illinois team. Not a great team, but that's a good team. Where if they had won by 7, 10, I would have been like, that's a nice win. They kicked Illinois' ass. I mean, top to bottom, beginning to end, it was just dominant. So I think, from a perception standpoint, it was a critical game for Oregon, but also for a confidence standpoint. I feel like that game galvanized the Oregon Ducks.
Agree on everything you said. It was the first 2 weeks. Gabriel got sacked 7 times. Then he went 4 weeks without being sacked. They weren't really running the football, and now they can run the football, and they have weapons everywhere. And I think physically, there was no question. There was no gap in that Ohio State game. So I agree with everything you said, except for that being the best win. I think it's Georgia going into Texas.
Okay,
because there was no doubt. Like Ohio State, it isn't the moral victory because it's Ohio State and the standards. There's a few things there, and look, Oregon was unlucky in the start of that game. So, however you want to play it out, I didn't feel like, there's no way Ohio State would have won this game. I felt like there was no way Texas was winning that game as we were watching it play out.
Agreed.
So, and it's on the road. Yep. And it really comes down to 2, like, who do you think's better right now, Texas or Ohio State?
Whew.
Right? It's kind of
right this second. I wonder what Vegas would have. My guess is neutral site, Texas would be favored by 3.
Yeah, probably.
I would slight lean Texas. Great question, though. I love it. I just don't trust Ohio State yet. I don't think Texas is playing up to its standard. I don't think Quinn Ewers with the oblique injury is 100%. I think we've seen that. That's been proven. But I think as a team, this would have been an easy spot last week. They struggled. It was lackadaisical, but they were sluggish, I thought. But I think Texas is a slightly better team top to bottom. More explosive offensively when things are clicking. But yeah, that's a good one.
More explosive than Ohio State, because I think that's the only reason they're surviving.
I think I trust their offense more. Yeah, I do.
I mean, I'm probably just talking about like the big play.
All right, maybe
it's not consistent enough.
I trust that they're not going to get it. Go ahead.
I don't think there's any debate on the best win thing. We can disagree. But it's funny as I like.
I don't even disagree. I just think like the perception for the Oregon. But I'm cool with Texas, Georgia.
Yeah, but as we're going through it, my instinct was I trust Texas more. Like I don't care what the AP poll says. I trust Texas more. But then I'm like, yeah, but what do you trust? Like a different Ewers after the injury because he has.
I trust a different Ewers a little bit. I trust if Ewers rounds into shape and gets healthy. I trust it. Let's put it this way. I think it's more likely that Ewers rounds into shape than it is for Ohio State to fix their issue on the left side of the offensive line, where they were basically down in their third left tackle. And the second one, even before he got nicked up, was not performing this past week. And that's a problem. When Josh Simmons went down at left tackle, I'm not saying he's, Jonathan Ogden or like, Willie Rofe or someone like that. But he was playing at a high level. And NFL scouts I was talking to were like, he might be the next dude, And so when he went down, you could see like they weren't able to establish the run. And it was a problem protecting on the left side. So like, I trust that Ewers is going to get better faster than Ohio State's going to fix the left side of their offensive line.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're on the same page with that answer. Here's another thing off of Ohio State, though. Last year, kind of buying into the Aller stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before the Ohio State-Michigan games, right? I remember, I don't think I picked Penn State. Maybe I did. I may have just said, like, I'm going for it, like, let's see what happens. If it's not this year, then when? That type of deal. They were 6-0, and they're at number 3 Ohio State, and Aller was 18 of 42. None of the receivers get any separation whatsoever. I don't know the McCord. Like McCord had some games against. I mean, there's a reason McCord's not in Columbus anymore on top of everything else. But are you allowing yourself, and we still don't, I don't know as of this taping the extent of the Aller injury, but Prabula was terrific. I mean, he adds a completely different element to this.
I kind of like Bo.
All right. Is he a better fit for this new offensive coordinator? That might not even be debatable, right? And Aller's been so good that, like,
Aller's elevated his game. More people have asked me questions about where's Aller getting drafted. More scouts I've talked to about, like, coming into this past week, it was kind of like, and it was a little bit more early in the season, but Nussmeier and Aller were the two, like, hey, like, their games, like, this is interesting. That I think Nussmeier's a better prospect than Aller is, but Aller was playing at a different level than he had, in previous years and certainly last year. So, but man, I liked Bo. I didn't know what to expect. You see Aller crying and goes and hugs him and devastated that he couldn't finish out that game last week against Wisconsin. And I'm like, uh-oh. And all along, the only thing in my mind that mattered was, can they obviously get through this? But we got a big one next week, Ohio State. How's this going to play out? And then the more I watch, what was he, 11 of 13? Protected the football. Like he looked, there's something about, like, sometimes guys come in and you can tell within the first 3-4 snaps, like, moment's too big. He's not ready. Every snap he took, I gained confidence in him. It's not like he gained confidence. I started to get like, oh, okay, we're all right. We're all right here. And yeah, maybe he is a better fit.
All right. Good answer on that. But I think what I'm trying to figure out here is the momentum of Penn State, even as we wait on the Aller news. But Tyler Warren, finally on the Heisman odds list, probably not going to be in New York, right?
I love Tyler Warren.
the 7 or 8 names you can go to with Penn State, and it's not like Ohio State, you can't, name a million guys, but are you mentally like thinking Penn State can do it this year?
I don't trust them. No.
Okay. All right.
Like, I'm sorry.
All right.
So sorry. Who in their right mind can trust a James Franklin Penn State team in this spot? And James can hear this and he can yell and he can motivate his team and but like, we're here to deal in facts, and facts are generated by history and trends. And what's your counter to that Penn State? It's not that they don't show up. It's not like they always like lay an egg, like, oh, that wasn't their best performance. They're not there. We've been saying this for years. They're not there. Franklin has said it in press conferences. Like, if we want to take it to another level, these are the games we've got to win. We're not there. So like, they're better this year. There's no question about it. I want to believe, but until I actually see it with my own 2 eyes, how can anyone sit there and be like, oh, I trust them? And the other thing too, like, it's one of those, Ohio State didn't look great, struggled this past week. You watch the Nebraska game. They should have had a big lead at the half. They didn't. They let Nebraska into it. They couldn't run the football consistently. All those things that we've talked about, the offensive line. But Ohio State's going to bring a different brand of football to the field this Saturday. I'm pumped up. We have Joel Klatt. I'm only here to promote my show. Joel Klatt's joining us tomorrow. I'm just playing with you, man. But Joel Klatt's going to join tomorrow. He's covering that game. I can't wait to talk to him and see, who he's talked to, tape he's watched, all that stuff. But this game's huge, and there's no way Ohio State doesn't put a different brand of football on the field this Saturday.
That's the thing, is it sets up for a perfect spot after the Nebraska game.
Exactly.
Like, you're watching it every week. You're kind of talking yourself into it a little bit. And even though Prabula was terrific, like, I just would rather have Aller in this game because of what he went through and how incredibly disappointed he was at the end of last year, basically because of the 2 games, the Ohio State and the Michigan game, which was, I think, even worse. But what I can't help but realize here is, like, are you gonna trick yourself into this because of because you're right. Ohio State's going to be like, they'll probably just be different and the history will be the same. Ohio State's won 11 of the last 12, 6 straight. Okay, worst loss of any of the potential playoff teams.
Notre Dame. NIU. Northern Illinois, 28-point favorite, right? They got outgained. It's not like it was a fluke. They got outgained by 102 yards in that game. And you got to remember at the time, like, that A&M win, A&M kind of was sputtering. What's going on at quarterback? This is the same old A&M and all that. So since then, that A&M win looks great. And it was an ugly game early in the season, all that. But that for a resume builder, that's huge. A&M is 10 this week in the poll coming off the LSU win. So, like, the perception of Notre Dame, my thought after that game was, oh, man, like, I love Marcus Freeman. This is going to be another rough year. They're just not there. And I'm not saying that they're there, like, contending for a national championship, but this is a damn good football team. Notre Dame has got a damn good football team. I love Jeremiah. I love the running back. I think he's the real deal. They're running the ball. They're balancing things out. I think the passing game is always going to be a challenge, but I think it's improving. The defense is really good. This is a really good team. But at that moment, I thought that was like take a Sharpie with the rankings and just like Notre Dame's gone. And it hasn't been the case. They've overcome it.
The A&M win is going to look better and better. And they weren't great, but Riley Leonard's been better.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, they're going to have 3 ranked wins here if they take care of business and then end up beating Army, where 2 of the ranked teams are going to be Navy and Army here. But there's just, I don't really know who else you would even include in the conversation, like how deep you would have to go, because it's still worse. I mean, Northern Illinois is 4-4. They just lost to Ball State.
Right.
Bama losing to Vandy. If you want to go beyond who's top 12 in the AP, like how far you have to go to find the other loss that's there. Is it Kentucky at home for Ole Miss? No. Like, there's just...
Although the way Kentucky's playing since. That does
that's what I'm doing here. Like I'm trying to find someone else in the top 25 that has
you
something
asked the question, not me.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, I can't really find it because the Vandy loss is not a bad. I mean, they were ranked last week
team.
Yeah, right.
Vandy's a good team.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So when I was looking through the SEC stuff, you've got Georgia, you've got Texas, you've got Tennessee. I didn't even rank Tennessee in my top 12.
You didn't?
Think. No, I have A&M ahead of them. There's no way.
I just wrote because you said you wanted to talk about the SEC in the top 12. Georgia 2, I'm cool with. Texas 6, I might have them at 5. I would Tennessee would be in for me.
That's fine. I'm just
trying to pull up.
I put Indiana in at 12, and I put the other teams. I put Tennessee behind. Not that I think there's this massive gap.
Does Iowa State belong?
I think they do. I've had them ranked now for a couple of weeks in my.
I got to watch more. I'll be honest. I got to watch more of them. I got to watch a little bit more of BYU. Those are the two teams.
Let's do this exercise,
okay?
Because it might not be the SEC fest that people thought it would be at the beginning, but in comparison to what, right? How many teams in the SEC would you pick to win the Big 12? Let's do it that way.
Okay, I know that's a better question.
All right, so I'll go by
Georgia's 1, Texas is 2,
right?
A&M's 3, Tennessee's 4, Alabama's 5, LSU 6, Ole Miss is 7.
You'd pick Ole Miss to win the Big 12?
Yes, sir. Yes, and I'll stand on it. I'm not like, maybe. I will stand on that. I will. Missouri, no. Like you get down to Missouri,
crosses
I'm not there
the
for
line.
it. Like I'm not sure Vandy doesn't win the Big 12.
You were way more down on him than I thought. I thought I was like at least fair between BYU, Iowa State, and K-State's still 7-1.
Yeah, I like K-State. I think K-State's potentially better. And I just admit it. I have watched BYU. I have watched Iowa State. I have not spent as much time watching those two teams as I have Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, Miami, all these other programs. So I'm not sitting here and just trashing the Big 12 because it's a better conference than I thought. BYU's better than I thought. Iowa State's better than I thought. Kansas State's a good team from what I've seen. Like they're a good team. And by the way, don't count out Colorado, the way Colorado's playing.
They could be a 9 or 10 win team, man.
Yes.
And the first couple of weeks in, I was like, I'm over it. I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. And now they've just put together a really nice run where you could say the schedule isn't that tough, but like, look at what that conference is about. Look what that conference is about to do to itself in the last month.
Right.
So,
yeah.
All right. So 7. Ole Miss, I think, is pushing it, but I can't get mad. How about them with their Callaway smoke helmets? I think LSU wins the Big 12. I'm not sure if I can go there with Ole Miss. But I like Jackson Dart way more in the quarterback conversation. When
they
you come
had 10
back,
sacks this past week. They're better defensively at times, not always. But
Oklahoma's a joke.
Oklahoma's a joke.
They cannot.
Is it 19 sacks they've allowed in the last 2 weeks? I think
it was 9 against Ole Miss, and at one point when the game was still in the balance, Jackson Arnold was sacked 5 times over 7 plays. 5 times over 7, like when you needed to have it. And you can get on him for saying, "Well, if you know that." I got
news for you too. Biedenbaugh, their offensive line coach, like respected in the NFL as the best offensive line coach in college football. Like truly. So
yeah, we've talked about about Oklahoma always every year. You're like, oh, there's 2 guys that are going to get drafted. But I do think Jackson Dart doesn't get talked about at all in the draft stuff. He had 2 plays in that Oklahoma game. There was one where he gets flushed out. The first thing isn't there. He's running to his right, and he leads the receiver back at the numbers, like inside of the defender. And there's just some awareness stuff with Jackson that I think is further along with him than it is, a lot of the other guys you're watching on Saturday. All right. So maybe we disagree on Ole Miss. Too. Yeah, no, he has. He also is all first team. Does he care if he gets cut in half today? No. He doesn't care. He would have to lose that in the NFL. All right. So let's do the I'm not going to draft Jackson Dart on my Heisman thing here. Our Heisman stuff as of right now, I don't know if there'll be any changes. I believe you pick first this week. Here's what we have. Todd has Cam Ward, Genty, Klubnik. I have Hunter, Ewers, and Gabriel. Who
do you have again?
I've got Travis Hunter, I've got Quinn Ewers, and I've got Dylan Gabriel. So I'm actually in a better spot than I thought. I just should have never allowed you to have the Ashton Genty pick. Should have boxed you out of that.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter's coming off a massive game. You know,
he's number 2 right now. Cam Ward's now number 3 on FanDuel. Cam Ward had been like number 1 for Heisman odds, and it's Gabriel, Hunter, Ward. So actually, I'm doing better here than I thought. I was just so pissed about the Gentry week.
Yeah. I don't fine. Like Gabriel's number 1. I just don't see Gabriel winning the whole thing, winning the Heisman.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do your board, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah. But then again, like, who are they going to lose to? Yeah, I don't like these odds. They suck. I'm looking at them now, so I'm pausing. I know it doesn't make for a good show, but anyway,
not the best stuff we've done.
No, it's not. It's not. But I'm so.
You could also not do anything, but you might be worried about me picking up somebody.
I don't. Who am I going to pick up? Nussmeier, Milrow.
You may have picked him up after the first half.
In my opinion, we have the 6 guys. Well, 5 of them. We have 5 of the guys that should be there and are the most likely to win. With Genty,
what if Iamaliava has that game, though? What if he finally has that game?
Yeah. Genty, Hunter, Gabriel, Ward, Klubnik. Yeah. I mean, we've got 5 of the 6. So who are you gonna swap? You're not keeping Ewers, right?
I'm going to drop Ewers, and I'm just going to pick up Carson Beck for the weird Georgia wins the SEC thing. I mean, I don't think he's even been that good at all. So, look, I'm picking the 6th guy here who's not even going to be in New York.
Yeah.
So
if Travis Hunter wasn't on Colorado, I would tell you to snag Shedeur because what he's doing is phenomenal. But
yeah, Shedeur's not getting enough love with any of this stuff. You're right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that instead. You know what? Thank you. I'm not going to take Beck. Cerruti, put me down for Shedeur. Learn how to pronounce his name when I pick him next time. Last thing on college before we get a couple NFL thoughts, because McShay was actually at the Patriots game yesterday. I love doing this with you and just those moments of like, who the hell is that guy? Jordan James been a dude. Tyler Warren has been a dude before on this. I'm going to offer up, because, Benjamin Morrison for Notre Dame is out, right? Hip surgery.
Yes.
And he's projected to be a first-round pick, correct?
Yes, he is. Yes.
All right. So Leonard Moore, number 15 corner for Notre Dame, he had a couple moments against Navy where I had to do a little deep dive on this dude. So I
love when you text me 15 FR freshman Notre Dame. Who is this dude? Those are my favorite texts.
Yeah.
I haven't even, I'm sending this text to you before I even Google what the roster for Notre Dame. That's what I love.
Yeah. So he's just 15 freshman.
What'd you find out?
Well, he's been tasked with a big responsibility with Morrison out. And Morrison's been talking to him week by week. Just a couple plays where that Notre Dame secondary is the strength of the team, and Morrison being out is a huge blow. But to see this guy who's had to play some major snaps, it was just a moment, a fleeting moment of knowing who the guys are for the most part on Saturdays, and then going, who's that guy? Like Bowling Green's tight end.
Bowling Green's tight end. I love it. All right, I'll give you a guy. Penn State, watching that game. Amin Vanover. He's a senior. 6'4", 258. Played in just, I had to look him up, because he's pressure after pressure. It turns out he had 5 pressures in that game, 5 hurries in that game. The top win rate, I guess, I looked up and saw something like 20, I think it was PFF, had 15.4% pass rush win rate of 27 pass rush snaps. But I'm watching the game, and I'm like, I know Abdul Carter. I know some of these dudes. And then the fact that he's a senior, Amin Vanover, And I don't know anything about him. So I looked him up. He played in 8 games as a backup last year. He only has a half a sack. But the fact that when you got a guy like Carter on the opposite side and you got a senior who's emerging, they've always got dudes in the front 7. Penn State always has dudes. And I'm not saying Vanover's going to be a star. I'm not going to say he's going to be even a draft pick. I'm just saying I watched that and I didn't know. I had never heard the name Vanover before. And to see that he was the most consistently disruptive defensive lineman for Penn State. And the reason why it was exciting and interesting to me is now we got Ohio State this week. And we've got an Ohio State team that's down to its second, maybe third left tackle. Can this guy Vanover, who's kind of breaking out right now, keep that up and have some big spots against Ohio State? So that's one guy. There's another one too. And I know USC is like not on the radar right now and massively disappointing season. But I've kind of wondered like who's going to step up and be another weapon for this team. And the first 5 games, Makai Lemon, who's a sophomore, just 5'11", 180 pounds, he had 7 catches. The last 3 games, he has 18 catches for 296 yards. I didn't do a deep dive, but he missed one of those first 5 games, so I'm guessing nicked up, wasn't 100%. But And again, I haven't studied USC as much because they're not winning and playing at that level. But Lemon to me really jumped out the last few weeks, but this past week specifically.
All right, well done. We went deep on that one. Yeah, because Vanover, he was never on my radar. And you're right, Penn State always feels like they have these guys. And as you were saying it, I was like, who? And then it's like,
exactly.
He's been there 5 years. Okay. Couple things on the NFL. I like to do these revisits of the draft. Jameis Winston gets the win yesterday, chucks it 41 times, doesn't have that horrible Jameis turnover where I said this in the open, so you don't know this. When they took the ball over down 24-23, I texted somebody was like, this Winston pick is about to be all time, like horrible. This is going to be awful.
And he threw it.
And Kyle Hamilton drops it.
He threw it for you.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was funny because I got the text back.
And of all dudes, Kyle Hamilton drops it.
Right. Probably my favorite safety in the NFL. So I remember that draft, the Winston Mariota draft, and we were actually both together in Manhattan Beach. And I was like, will you just pull up your program and take me through what it is that you see that I can't see, that I am not educated enough. I don't understand what it is. And you started throwing me Winston's throws in the anticipation on his throws. And then you started showing me Mariota's throws going, look at, like, they're just not the same throws. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing. And it was like a 30-minute tutorial that McShay gave me.
I remember that, man.
Okay. And I was like, okay, from this point on, I am convinced I will not. And I don't know where I was with it prior to that session, this Todd talk, if you want to call it that. And you're like, Mariota is not Winston. And it's played out that way. But I think it's interesting to always kind of do this every few weeks with you on where is Winston's career based on your expectations for him before the draft.
I recognize the flaws. I recognize just like his speeches and what everyone's come to love about Jameis is the emotional tie, right? Like, we're all emotionally tied to Jameis. And for a long time, I was like, oh, gosh, all right.
Nonsense. Hand up. I'm kind of like, I don't really care.
But now it's become a thing, like the Jameis speeches and his pregame, all that stuff.
People really like it.
Yes.
Right.
You don't have to love it, but I'm just saying it's a thing. We can agree on it's a thing. But my point in all of this is, that same emotion you could see in his game, like when you're making decisions sometimes. He's a smart dude. I think he's gotten like smarter and more, like watching his tape. Like, I think he reads things, he processes things. His anticipation has always been really good. But there were always a few plays a game where it's like the emotions got the best of him. He pushed it too far, right? And so that was always a thing coming out. But as I gave you at the Shade Hotel, and the great film setup, just a little backdrop on it. My favorite week of the year, professionally, every year, NFLPA game came into existence, All-Star game. Everyone knows the Senior Bowl. Everyone knows the East-West Shrine game. But ESPN got rights to the NFLPA game. And we probably had like 8,000 people watching the game. And what ESPN didn't realize is that me and my guy, Kevin Whittle, who's now with the Baltimore Ravens as a scout, doing an amazing job, but he was with me for like 12 years. We would go out to the NFL PA game before we'd go down. It was the week before going down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. And we would post up at the Shade Hotel. And we had a blast. We would go out at night. We would have dinners. We'd have a couple of cocktails, all that. But we grinded tape. We must have been the only two assholes in the history of the Shade that would spend about 10 hours a day in the room with the Pacific Ocean as the backdrop, with like a cute little fireplace thing in there, with that with the sauna in the middle of the bedroom.
The porn tub?
And the porn tub. And it's two dudes, hats on backwards, like ripping Diet Pepsis and all that stuff, watching tape with the coach's clicker.
Yeah.
So it was a weird scene. But
it's like an Austin Powers hotel room for those that don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. It's until you walk into one, you can't really understand it. So that would be we would spend like 8 days there every year to do this like small little NFL PA game. And Russillo would come by and watch tape every once in a while, and some other people who lived in Manhattan Beach. But Jameis, to me, had the tools to be a really good NFL starter. His career was not what I hoped it to be, but I always questioned, is he going to be able to knock out some of the bad habits and some of the things that get him in trouble? And Mariota, while I loved the system he was in, I loved how he operated it. I loved his, just like competitiveness and all those things. I never thought he was going to be a good starting NFL quarterback. Never. I truly did. And so that to me is the difference. And it's good to see Jameson get another shot. I mean, to see that Cleveland offense operate the way it operated yesterday against that defense, with that guy coming in and replacing the guy with that contract that he had, it's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, look, it's the only time they've scored over 20 all season long.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And he was the third string quarterback. You understand that, right?
Yeah, I saw something about that where, look, DTR came in, so I guess I shouldn't debate it at all. I guess
it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't like Jameis was clear cut, back up, like he was ready to come in if something happened. Like that was not the case.
Right. Because you went to the Pats game, is there anything that you can tell us about Drake Maye before he was in concussion protocol?
He looked good.
Okay. All right.
He looked good. Like he brought energy to the Patriots offense, and they were struggling. I never get to go sit in the stands. I brought my 10-year-old son, Tate. We had a blast. Thank you to the Patriots. Thank you to the Jets. On the field before. My son's an idiot and an animal. He just walked they rope off the sidelines. He walks up, and I'm talking to Jerry Madelon, our days at ESPN. I see G-Matt there. So I'm hugging Jerry and catching up a little bit. And I look over, and my son is now in the freaking end zone. And I'm like, oh no. Like Joe Douglas and Stacey James, who got me tickets from the Patriots. I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, all right, Jerry, I got to go. My son. And I look over, and he's like, hey, what's up? With his hand, Tate, with his hand up. And it's at Braylon Allen. They come out of the tunnel. He's like high-legging, getting warmed up. And Braylon comes up, and you get this 10-year-old with his hand up, and Braylon's like, looks around like, is someone punking me? Why is this 10-year-old on the field? And he's like, hey, little dude, slaps him 5. So that's how my day started. So anyway, we get in the stands. We're watching the game. 2 takeaways I had. Drake Maye is bringing energy. They don't trust him as a passer yet. It's all about running the ball. They're trying to win with defense, special teams. They got a big return. But I was more, I don't know. I was pleased with what I saw, and I was kind of like, he's got a chance, man. If they get some weapons eventually, if they can protect and all those things. But he's starting to gain confidence, his running ability, his ability to extend plays. He's got a chance if they can put things around him. So that was
it feels like a vibe evaluation though. He threw 6 passes before he was out of the game. So
yes, but then Brissett comes in the game, and the offense just dies. The life comes out of the offense. The life comes out of the stadium. It's just conceding after conceding after conceding. Run the ball, short passes. it's like third and 6. He throws a 2-yard pass. Like it's frustrating. So there was a difference, and that's kind of what I wanted to see. What's the difference? When Brissett came in, and it was a world of difference. Other side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers. We all know that. He's got the ankle, the knee, coming off the Achilles, the hamstring. Every play is its own entity, is the best way I can put it. There is no energy in that offense. His inability to, he's a phenomenal passer. He's Aaron Rodgers. We all know that. But his inability to extend plays and to do anything with suddenness is so apparent when you're there live. We had decent seats, so I'm not far away from the field. Like, it's so apparent. And you watch all these NFL games and like it just, they're stuck because of it. And the run game doesn't tie to the pass game the way it should. It was frustrating to watch because you got dudes everywhere. I don't know that there's a worse loss in the NFL this year than that, considering this was supposed to be the turnaround. I'm watching the pregame show with Greeny and everyone going through, like, they can win 8 of their last 10 or whatever it was. And I love Joe Douglas. I think he's put an unbelievable product in terms of individual talent on the field. The defense is not tackling well. They just seem to lack an edge on that side of the ball. While they have a lot of talented players and all that, but I don't know. It's missing, and it's frustrating to watch because I know how much has gone into that, and I know how much talent is there. But I think offensively, they're so limited right now, and the lack of tempo and they're just one play to the next is the best way I can put it. It's its own entity rather than everything being tied together, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, and it's a really unique way of describing it. And I would agree on the roster. You're going to get accused of being a Joe Douglas apologist because you're friends with him. That's fine. But if you go through
but I'm also Joe would be pissed at me if I gave him credit where credit wasn't due. I promise you that. There's no denying that the talent is there. There's also no denying what the hand that ownership has had and why things have gotten to certain ways and because of it. Let's just leave it at that. Like, an outsider looking in can tell some of the things, but in terms of drafting and bringing in talent and having securing a roster that's good enough to compete at a very high level, that's been done.
Here's what's crazy about this. You look at the Jets at 2-6, 9 games to go through the next 9. There's not hey, that's a win in there based on who they are. Texans at Cardinals. Cardinals, good luck figuring.
We talked about that, remember, in week 2?
Right.
This Cardinals team's good. This is a good squad.
I don't know if good is the right word. I'm not sure.
I don't think there was an expectation. I think the Cardinals are better than people think, and I think we're starting to see them. Marvin's getting more involved. I see a natural progression happening, and it's promising.
The Marvin stuff, there's certain games I'll admit to, defensively, they're just a bunch of guys that are they fast? And is there a bunch of just dudes? And then it's the stats don't say they're really good. So what am I watching? Am I falling for the uniforms? So if you just run through it, and I don't want to
go ahead.
Do this because, that's a win. That's a loss. The old Francesa bit, win.
Greeny had no problem doing it on Countdown.
Oh, they did it? Oh, yeah. I didn't
him
see
and Rex and Brewski up at the board. It was local
Where's the
radio.
win then? Okay, so let's do it this way.
They had 8-2, including yesterday's win. This is a pregame show. I think it was 8-2. Were there 9 games left?
They're 2-6. There's 9 games left. They had them
yesterday.
So that was
yesterday at 11:30 in the morning or 10:30 in the morning before I took off for the stadium. It was 8-2 down the stretch. Brewski came in and ripped away a few of those W's.
Well, where's the W? Where is they will? Now they will, because it's the NFL. They're going to win a couple of these games. But the last 9 games, Texans at Cardinals, we just gave Arizona some love. Colts, Seahawks.
Colts is
at
a win.
Dolphins. Are you sure? What if Flacco's
No, I'm not sure about anything. But
I want a sure win.
Are we doing Okay, sure win. That's what we're doing. Okay.
So Colts, Seahawks at Dolphins, at Jacksonville. Rams
Jacksonville's
at Bills,
a win.
Dolphins. Okay, so you got them. So
they win 1 or 2 of the Dolphins.
So they're going 3-14 this year.
No, I just gave them 2 more. So 4-13. I don't. That's not. You're saying sure wins. I would give them 3. Yeah, whatever. I hate this game.
Okay.
I think they could win. I think they could win 6 of the last 9, though. Put that down. Clip that. Jets win 6 of 9. Still don't get in the playoffs. So why even make this take, Todd?
No, this is good. We'll cut this out. Let's change the filter on
Cerruti, trash this segment, please.
Great spot to finish. I know you're busy with the new show. Again, check out the McShay Show. Please subscribe to it. And especially if you're a college football fan, that Saturday night recap is going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for the time today, man.
Thanks, brother.